What would happen if you just suddenly stopped training? Well, I stopped training for 3 months and this is what happened.
I've been training in a gym since my early teens, and although I've approached training with different levels of seriousness and intensity, I've never really had a long break from the gym. However, after a series of injuries, being busy with work and lots of travelling, I ended up taking an unplanned 3-month break from the gym. My thoughts on this were that I would lose all my muscle, lose all my strength, and probably get fat, ending up with the dreaded skinny fat physique.
So I think my biggest fear is that all the muscle that I'd spent years trying to develop would just simply be lost almost overnight. Now, thankfully, of course, that didn't happen, and I think generally speaking, the average person, if they were to take a look at me, probably wouldn't really notice any difference in my physique. Strictly speaking, it takes around 2 weeks before the body actually starts the process of muscle loss from stopping training, and the process is pretty gradual.
Actual losses in lean muscle tissue probably won't kick in until about 2 full weeks of inactivity. Assuming you still have a half decent diet in place, about 2 weeks is probably what you're looking at, and that's just in order for the process to start.
Now, I know that I've lost muscle, particularly in my legs, but generally speaking, the differences seem to be pretty minor. Now, of course, I can't quantify this because I haven't had a DEXA scan done before or after, so it's all fairly anecdotal. Overall, my muscles felt far less full, but this was probably largely due to the amount of glycogen that was being stored in the muscles, as well as the amount of sarcoplasmic fluid in the muscle. Now, I've actually started training again as of about 3 weeks ago, so I'm really keen to see how quickly I can get back to my previous shape, and in fact, already in the 3 weeks that I've already passed, I'm already feeling and looking a little bit better. So I've now started training again, and I've been training for about 3 weeks, and I have to say my first session back at the gym, it was like I'd never actually trained before. I was as weak as a kitten and I had no work capacity whatsoever, so I had completely lost all my fitness. On exercises where I may have got, 4 sets of 10 reps easily at a particular weight, I would now maybe get 8 or 9 reps on that first set, but then I would completely struggle on the following sets. I maybe get 7, 6 or 5 reps. So I really did struggle getting back into it. However, my fitness and strength does seem to be returning pretty quickly. So I've been training for 3 weeks, as I said, and already I can feel a lot of my strength returning and my fitness is coming back pretty quickly, which is very reassuring. Now, because I was so detrained, the DOMS after my first training sessions was so severe, it actually felt like I'd been run over by a car. I would wake up the following morning after a leg workout and my legs were just so insanely sore. It would actually take me about 10 days before they'd actually fully recovered from that first session. Now, when you're not training, the diet becomes really important. And I could have minimized my fat gain if I'd really dialed in my diet. So unfortunately, I am an all-in or all-out kind of guy. So if I can't train, my diet pretty much goes out the window and loses all structure. This was made a million times worse by the fact that I was very, very busy, so I ended up getting a lot of takeaways and I had to do a lot of travel. So again, eating food in hotels or eating airplane food or any other kind of junk that I wouldn't normally eat. Now, I was still eating a relatively high protein diet, so still probably getting my minimum protein requirements to maintain my muscle mass, but I was probably eating way over my maintenance calories, at least 500 calories per day. Now, that might not sound like that much, but 500 calories per day is about 3,500 per week, which is about 1 pound of fat gain per week. So at the end of 3 months, I was incredibly embarrassed by my physique, and I'm actually a little bit embarrassed to show you the clips I'm showing you now. However, this is going to serve as a very good motivation to get back into shape. Now, I should point out that weight is relative, and although you might not think I look that fat in these clips, I feel very overweight for me personally, and so I cannot wait to get back into the shape that I normally am in. Now, the weight actually really did sneak up on me. I was keeping an eye on my weight and I was looking at myself in the mirror regularly and thinking, I don't look too bad. But then all of a sudden, I looked in the mirror and I was like, whoa, I am now really out of shape. Now, one very positive aspect about taking so much time off is that a lot of chronic injuries I've had for a very long time seem to be better. Now, I'll be interested to see if it stays like this as my training progresses, but so far, so good. Now, when I talk about chronic injuries, I'm not talking about very severe injuries. I'm talking about, for example, pain in my shoulder when I'm doing pressing movements. The reason they're chronic is because I've had them for so long, and I've really just kind of adapted my training around those injuries. And it's made me realize that actually, if I'd just given them the time that they had needed to recover in the first place, then they probably would have healed a long time ago, and that would have had a much more positive impact on my training. Now, what is weird is that I still wake up in the morning with lots of pains and aches, particularly in my wrists, shoulders, and neck, and I just kind of put that down to training in the gym. However, I still had those aches and pains even when I wasn't training, so I guess that's just part of getting old. So one of the biggest issues for me personally is that not training had a really big impact on my psychology. Now, I've been training for a very, very long time, and I kind of associate training and being fit and being strong with part of my identity. It's how I kind of see myself. So when I wasn't training anymore and I didn't feel strong, I didn't feel fit, I didn't feel quite myself, and it had a really big negative impact on my overall confidence. Now, I'm sure that all sounds very dramatic, but now that I've started training again, already just after 3 weeks, I can feel my confidence returning. I am associating myself back with that element of my identity that was missing before, and I can now feel my confidence returning. I now feel really good again. So once I was in the position where I could actually start training again, it felt like a real effort after having so much time off. Simple things that had become habits after years and years of training and positive routines had to be reformed as new habits. In some respects, I was highly motivated because I could not wait to start training again, and I couldn't wait to get back into good shape. In other ways, I just found it so incredibly difficult to just actually get motivated to start. So although I've been training by myself for the best part of 3 years, I decided the best way to get straight back in was to dive in at the deep end, and I've actually started a new 6-week program with an online trainer to actually motivate me, to get me going and give me that boost I need to get back into training. So I'm currently 3 weeks into a 6-week training plan, and when that 6 weeks is over, I'm going to share the results in a separate video, so make sure you watch out for that one. So what have I actually learned from taking 3 months off from training? Well, the first thing is that muscle that's taken years to build and develop isn't going to get lost overnight. It's a very, very gradual process, so hopefully in the future this will stop me from getting overly anxious or overly neurotic if I need to take another break from training again in the future. Secondly, if I can't train, then I really need to dial in my diet. I want to make sure that I'm getting in at least my minimum protein requirements and I'm getting as close to maintenance calories as I can. I want to be able to preserve as much muscle as possible and avoiding any unnecessary fat gain. And thirdly, taking a break from training can actually be beneficial, particularly if you have chronic injuries that could really benefit from taking a rest. So hopefully you found this video useful or interesting, and please take a look at some of the other videos I have on this channel. In a few weeks' time, I will be posting the results of a new 6-week training program that I've been working on, and hopefully I'll be a bit closer to my original shape prior to taking a break. So keep your eyes peeled for that one, and I'll see you in the next video.